I'm so goddamn exhausted. I feel it in my head. I wish that I could mend, but it seems I've gone around the bend. Exhausted. Hate to say it again, because if I don't get ready, it gets bottled and unsteady. Well, I don't like the way it sucks on me. I'm not leisurely, no, I am just entirely displeased. I'm working my ass off, so please excuse the words I use to try and get across to you, 'cause I am just so fed up with your shit. People don't wanna work now, I guess that's what they say. If only they could know the shit we go through every day. Exhausted, hate to say it again, because if you don't get ready, we get bottled and unsteady. Well, I don't like the way it sucks on me. I'm not leisurely, no, I am just entirely displeased. I'm working my ass off, so please excuse the words I use to try and get across to you, 'cause I am just so fed up with your shit. We're so goddamn exhausted. We feel it in our heads. I wish that we could mend, but it seems we've gone around the bend. Exhausted. Hate to say it again, because if I don't get ready, we get bottled and unsteady. Well, I don't like the way it talks on me, so please don't fuck with me. No, I am just entirely displeased. I'm working my ass off, so please excuse the words I use to try and get across to you, 'cause I am just so fed up with your shit.
Well, fellas, that was. Hang on. I'll be right with you. I'll be right with you, boys. I was hoping I'd get this blow pop taken care of, but you know, here's what it is. Okay. I should swallow my gum and I'm done. Hang on. I really should have done this during the guitar solo. I apologize to you guys. So sweet. There we go. See, I'm done. I'm done. Eat on your own time, Jaffe. Fuck you. Yeah. Welcome Welcome to the Gabbin' and the Games for Monday, July 8th, my tiny human friends. Good to see everybody. I appreciate you being here. Tim Duncan jumps right into the fray at the beginning, says, hopefully Jaffe has energy tonight. He's been oddly low energy as of late. You know, I don't know about that. I don't think I've been low energy. I think I've been having a bit of an existential crisis, which I guess would maybe make one come across as such. But I think, like, we're going to be talking about this Fertanga Plays video that he kind of threw me under the bus on a little bit later in the show. And I was debating it, but the chat and the Twitter folks voted for it. And more importantly, I'm really going to try. It's not so much that I don't have energy. I'm trying to kind of keep my head about it and not make it dramatic and really just try to get some facts and shit. Although, yes, Eddie T will tell you I have more energy than Joe Biden, which sadly is true. Okay. Did I try the, Kevin says, Jaffe, did you try the Kanitsugami demo? That's the thing from Capcom that's coming out pretty soon. And that is kind of the tower defense game. You can get the demo right now. I like it. I don't know if I like it enough that it is going to pull me away from the other things I'm playing right now. And I don't, like, it seems really interesting. It very much seems like the Capcom C+ team, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but maybe they've never, maybe they've never made a proper game before, and this is sort of how they bring them up, and they're like, hey, this turned out pretty good, let's release it, And it is good. I don't know what they're going to charge for it. I cannot imagine they're going to charge $70 or $60 for it, but it's good. There's nothing wrong with it. I enjoyed it. I think it is going to kind of suffer in more of a what is it kind of thing, and it's not going to get a great word of mouth, except it might be kind of like a cult thing. I mean, I definitely applaud it and I like it, but it's a bit of a mystery to me in terms of sort of in this day and age, a company like Capcom greenlighting that particular title. Movie Maniac says, I have been playing Sea of Stars, and you were right. It's awesome, isn't it? I need to go back and finish it. It is absolutely a delightful throwback to the 16-bit Chrono Trigger. Well, it's not turn-based, so I guess it would be... No, it is turn-based. The combat's pretty cool, actually. I'm remembering it now. It's turn-based, and they've got... I like all the little kind of... not mini game. I guess they're mini games, but that makes it sound like it's Costume Quest from Schaefer's thing. It's a proper RPG, but it's cool that you can kind of have. It's a little deeper or more interesting than just straight up turn based. I dig it. Mr. Jaffe says Star Force Belmont. Mr. Jaffe's my father, and he lives in Boca Raton. That's a line from a movie. Mr. Jaffe, do you think Capcom and Marvel can make a comeback after the disaster of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite? The collection is making people excited. People hated how cheap and low budget MVC was. Infinite. Of course. I mean, Capcom is going through a resurgence in popularity and relevancy. They have reinvented franchises a number of times. So... assuming they still have the rights to it, and I don't really know how that works. Like back in the day, because we were negotiating with Marvel to do an Iron Man game before the Iron Man game, before Iron Man became an MCU thing. But we were negotiating with those guys, and they were very particular about, okay, if you're going to do the Iron Man universe, you can have Miss Marvel. You can have, obviously, War Machine. And I'd be like, okay, well, what about Ben Grimm from the Fantastic Four? He's been in a number of Iron Man stories in the time that we're making this game. And they're like, yeah, but no, that's tied up with Activision or whoever it was who has the rights to Fantastic Four, right? So I don't know anymore, with Marvel Games being a much stronger competitor out there, how that works. I guess with Marvel Rivals, though, it seems more game by game versus universe licensing. I could be wrong, But like if you look at Marvel Rivals, they don't seem to have any rhyme or reason at a licensing standpoint. Spider-Man's in there, Magic from the New Mutants is in there. You've got a character from Enter the Spider-Verse that the only time you've ever seen her, at least, was introduced in that movie. So I don't think that would stand in their way. I think really probably what would stand in their way is the question of where is the market for this? Like, you know, Mortal Kombat 1, even though I know it has issues and people are complaining about the cost of things and whatnot, and I'm sure that plays a big part, but that's not setting the world on fire. Multiverses is not setting the world on fire. Street Fighter 6, as brilliant as it is, isn't setting the world on fire. So do I think Capcom would move out of fighting games? Of course not. But do I think maybe they might, whereas Street Fighter 6, they were like, let's do everything in our power. And I think they did a great job to expand this and make this more comfortable for people who are not core gamers or even core fighters, not just core gamers. I don't think I could be wrong, but I don't think it took all that much, right? I think at that point, maybe what makes more sense is to go back and make it not on the cheap, like it's a low budget, piece of shit with two people. Not that is always the same thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like a D team working on it. But I don't know, would it be cheaper if they went with 2D? Or would it be cheaper if they just sort of built on top of Street Fighter as a reskin and just retuned it? I have no idea. But I would love to see that, and I'm looking forward to the collection. Absolutely, absolutely. Are there any 21st century, says IP characters that are as iconic as 20th century ones? Not, I mean, you know what's really? I've been thinking about this a lot because I've been watching. This weekend I watched Axel F, right, on Netflix, and it currently is sitting at like I think what do they got? They have like a 65% score from the critics and an 80% score from the audience. And I'm watching it and I absolutely loved it, but I can't deny that and I'm not a hardcore fan. I loved 1, 2 was watchable, 3 was crap. But 4 was really fun and really good, but it was good more because of the nostalgia than if it was a standalone movie without that. I don't think anybody would even be talking about the goddamn thing. So what I would say is about IP is that, I think about my kids coming up with IP, they don't really have anything that they hold near and dear. I mean, I guess you could say Fortnite or Roblox as game players, but there's no real brand there other than the metaverse that is everything of those titles. They have YouTubers, of course, that they know and love and follow, and they've been doing that since they were little kids. But, IP today is really rare because things cost a lot of fucking money. It's rough. It's absolutely rough. So it's a good point, though. It's a good point. Capcom should pay Guilty Gear devs to make Darkstalkers. I mean, yeah, but again, I don't know how much those games cost. I know they're great. I can't play them. I bought the last one. I was excited, and I'm just like, it's too much, man. It's too much work to figure this out. Yusuf says, to me, the new IP is Halo. Yeah, but it ain't what it used to be. And that you can't blame the younger generation on that. You have to just blame the fact that I think Microsoft, and I liked the last Halo. I liked Infinite, but I think Microsoft is really kind of they haven't done whatever it is they needed to do to make that brand relevant to a new generation of gamers. I mean, I was thinking about this. I started subscribing to Game Informer, right? So I get the I've been subscribing to the digital for a while, but I wanted the paper one, right? It's a good point, by the way. Before I get to that, Rick and Morty says, maybe that. That's a good point. But anyway, because I missed that fun of just going down to the mailbox and having a little treat of game in deeper than just sort of like what you see on the internet a lot of times. I like it, and I like getting it in the mail. But my point is, though, it has gotten me thinking a lot just about where is the age of people who play the kind of games that we discuss, right? I know that my kids are aged out of that, but I think about the summer, and I'm like, I remember, man, when it was summertime, and it would be like, the greatest thing that it's like, okay, I've got a whole summer to my neighbor Michael next door, and we would play, let's play Ultima all summer, or let's play, there was a game from Origin called Mobius, or, it's just like we lost ourselves in these worlds. And I just don't hear that. I didn't hear it when my kids were coming up, and I don't see it in the culture. And I just wonder, is that, what is that? Is it just they're not responding to this shit anymore? Not just the magazines, but what's in these magazines. They just don't. Or maybe it's like, no, Jaffe, it's totally the same as it always was. It's just, rightly so. You're not around a bunch of, grammar school kids and junior high kids, so how would you know? And you're right. But I just know that when my kids were that age, their friends weren't doing it either. It's an interesting point, too. Cooper says it's because there's 1,000 times more games. Right. So it's almost like any other piece of entertainment these days. It's so fragmented that a culture doesn't kind of form around it. That could absolutely be what it is. Okay. Maybe it's similar, says Foolish, to the kids liking unboxing videos but not wanting the toys. Could be that, too. Right, Moop says, I spent an entire summer playing Final Fantasy IX when I was a kid. Some of my greatest memories of my childhood. Absolutely. I cherish those memories. They're excellent. But anyway, so it's an interesting rabbit hole, the IP thing, and I do worry about it. But anyway, Axel F, good stuff. I enjoyed it. Okay. Here's what else I enjoyed this weekend, and this will be going up. Some people have been asking about it, like, where did it go? We did a show this weekend, a brand new show for the channel. I think it went over pretty well, called Fanboy Fights. And I'm going to do another one this coming weekend. I have pulled it because it was our first episode. There were a lot of technical difficulties, and I'm editing it into a more proper video, which should go up tonight or tomorrow, give or take. But what it is we take a topic every week that's kind of game related, geek related, mostly game related though. Like yesterday we had members submit. Members always submit not the category, but they fill in the category if you're a member. And members this time submitted a bunch of trailers that were new for games that haven't come out yet. And then we watch them. There's a form that you can fill out over on Google Sheets or Google Forms or whatever it's called. And we basically ranked these 14 trailers and we're discussing which one was worth being number one. And so I think it went off pretty well. It'll go up tonight or tomorrow. Let me know if you like it. And then we'll be doing another one. I'm not sure what the topic is yet this coming weekend, but I have been asked a couple times, like, where'd the show go? I'm re-editing it just for technical reasons. It'll be up soon. Also, real quick housekeeping. We have a Patreon. We also have a YouTube channel. If you like what we do here, and by we, I mean me, and I have an imaginary friend named Douglas K.R. Perry. And I also have a dog and about 2 different personalities. So if you like what we do here at Gabbin' in the Games, consider a subscription either on Patreon or YouTube, or better yet, a membership. Capitalism. Patreon's the best place for you to go if you like the show as a podcast. They do a very good job getting these things whipped into shape for podcasts across all the services. YouTube's rubbish with that. YouTube's great if you're here for the live shows, though, because all the chat features, the emoticons, the members-only chats, that's a lot easier to do here on the YouTube. Regardless, if you like what you hear today, give us a like, give us a sub, give us a membership, give us a kiss. That's weird. Not even fucking with you. You know what's weird? Oh, by the way, that opening song, I don't know if I mentioned, was Bukkake Drive-By, one of our mods. Longtime mod. He's out of his fucking mind. I think he may be just batshit. But he's in a good band called Quitter. That's their new song, or one of their new songs. Give it a listen over on the YouTube. Good stuff. I was just going to say, I saw a documentary. We'll get to games in a second. I saw a documentary about Bing Crosby, and it blew my mind. This was a guy, he's like, if you don't know who he is, he's like 40s movie star, TV star, radio star, record star. This guy, at one point, had the #1 movie, album, TV show, and radio show. He was the most ubiquitous force in entertainment. And today, it's just crazy, man. It's like nobody even knows. A lot of people go, "Who the fuck is that? Who's Bing Crosby, right? Who's Louis Armstrong?" And I don't mean it like you kids today don't know anything. I don't mean that. I just mean I think people spend a little too much time worried about their legacy. What am I going to leave behind? I don't mean money for your kids or anything like that. I mean, what am I going to leave behind as a legacy? And it's like, that seems like a dumb thing to worry about when you really think about it. No one's going to remember. I mean, you couldn't have left, not Bill Cosby, Bing Crosby, Mr. K. You couldn't have left a better legacy. I mean, other than he was an alcoholic and maybe not the world's best dad. You couldn't have left a better legacy than Bing Crosby did. And most people don't even fucking remember the guy. JoJo D does, but he's my age. Right, we saw David Bowie and Bing Crosby together singing the Christmas song. Hell, 10 years, 20 years from now, most kids will be like, what the fuck is a David Bowie? Anyway. Did I see the petition from Japan? They are pissed about Assassin's Creed Shadows, says Starforce. Well, if you want to basically say 35,000 people, all of which are not Japanese necessarily, are pissed, is the entire, what's it called, archipelago, the various islands that make up Japan, then sure, they are pissed. But, I don't care. Don't play it. I mean, really, seriously, don't fucking play it. There's an Asian lady in it. The guy's a real historical figure. Whether or not he was actually this samurai, that samurai, I don't care. I mean, it's like I would care if you were talking about, hey, James Cameron is making a movie about samurai and he's bringing the same level of intended authenticity that he brought to Titanic to ancient Japanese warriors. And so he's going to get every detail right. Then you would have a right to be pissed because it's presenting as a historical document / piece of entertainment. But this is ridiculous. It's a fucking video game about a virtual reality headset you put on and get to relive your life through your fucking ancestors. I mean, what? Yeah, come on. But it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. Okay. Right. Well, A says Ubisoft, one of the only game companies that employs multiple historians with PhDs on full-time for a video game. Are you serious? I did not know that. If that's the case, then even more to the point that they must know what they're talking about. But no, it doesn't bother me that they're pissed. I'm still going to play it. I'm still going to play the goddamn game. I'm looking forward to it. The trailers have looked pretty good at this point. And every now and then an Assassin's Creed game comes out and makes me real happy. I mean, obviously most people cite, and I agree with them, Black Flag. I really liked Assassin's Creed 2. I wanted very much to play Assassin's Creed 3 because I loved the idea of the American Revolution angle, but people just continually told me it wasn't very good. But lately I've heard people say, oh no, that's not the case. It's actually pretty good. So I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it. All right. We got an interesting week in games. Some of these I don't even know, but this is the week that Angerfoot comes out. If you don't know what Angerfoot is, I believe this is from Devolver. There was a demo last year. It's literally, it's so delightfully, wonderfully weird. You are basically just running around kicking people with your foot. It's like a shooter and you can kick things into people and all that. It's really fun, at least the demo was. But then what's weird is, I mean, it's just bizarre. There's this hub world where you're sitting on the couch, and if I remember correctly, you're sitting on the couch with your girlfriend, and you're not wearing any shoes, and like you're putting your feet in her mouth, but it's kind of like Gang Beast with like real-time physics. So you're trying to, push your foot into her actual mouth, and it's just bizarre. But that's coming out July 11th, 8, 9, 10, 11, Thursday. So I will be getting and playing that for sure. I'm looking forward to it. Ace Combat 7's coming out for the Switch. That ain't going to play very good. Once Human is coming out tomorrow. I played the demo for this. It has a lot of ambition, but it's one of those games, man, that just doesn't have a lot of... It wasn't that unique, and I bailed pretty quick. What else? Death Game Hotel is coming out for the Quest. Neon White is coming out Thursday, which is a game pass. It's been on other systems. It's excellent, but that'll be Game Pass this Friday for the Xbox, and I highly recommend it. Even if you're not into the visual novel component, and I was not. It's an Annapurna action game. The action, which is shooting and platforming, is just staggeringly delightfully good. There's also a game called Dross coming out for the Switch. It's been out on Steam. If you like kind of action puzzle games, that's pretty good. And then there's a game called Lifeless Moon, which I have no idea what it is. I'm going to look that up real quick, only because it's kind of an evocative cover, and I like sci-fi. Hang on. Lifeless Moon. During an expedition to the moon, 2 astronauts find themselves in a familiar town back on Earth. They soon discover the town as the beginning of a strange... Oh, this sounds great. Very Twilight Zone-y. I might be into this. Here, I'll let you see what I'm seeing. Hang on. Do you see it, eyes? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I want to know what it's about. Yeah, I'm into this. I love this stuff. They discover the town as the beginning of a strange, mysterious journey. Cool. Okay, let's see if it's already on Steam. If it is, maybe it's already got some early reviews. It's 9 out of 10 on Steam. Metacritic gave it a 64 out of 10. Who to trust, my boys? This came out last August, but now it's coming out. Yeah, it's a walking simulator, so some people don't dig that, but I love stuff like that. I'm getting this. I'm going to play this. Where's it coming out real quick? Where are we going to be able to acquire the bounty of this game? Because I'm interested. All right, let's just check real quick. Lifeless Moon comes out July 9th. All right, I'll be playing it. Sounds cool. Okay. Johnny, get your adverbs here. Johnny, welcome back, sir, to the membership, to the Diet Soda Soldiers. I think if you're a different tier, let me know. I can't check on this Streamlab, but I appreciate it, buddy. Welcome back to the fold. It's great to have you here, as always. Jaffe, would you be heavily involved in games media if not for your channel? I don't know what that means. Games media, like, are you asking me would I go and work like at an IGN kind of place or something? Is that what you mean? I mean, I'm too old for that. I don't have any problems with it. Like, I don't mean I'm too old, like I couldn't do it, but I mean, I'm not, come on, look at me. But, and I'm a little too much of a loose cannon. I'm the Mel Gibson, I'm the Martin Riggs of video games, whatever, shut up. But here's what I would tell you though, Blackjack, I love what I'm doing, and I would love to eventually grow this channel into a number of different shows. I think that would be great. It's not just me, but I'd love to design 3 or 4 different shows, kind of like what Felicia Day did for a while with what was her Geek and Sundry. I'd like to do something like that down the road. I think that would be a lot of fun. And like I said, I do have one game left in me that I think is just the knees bees, but I'm waiting for somebody to walk up and say, and I'll say, who is it? And Ace will be barking. But then when I find out who it is, they're like, we're here to basically provide you with, like, here's the fantasy, all right? The fantasy is some kid, or they were a kid back in the day, now they're in their 30s. They made a lot of money in selling Bitcoin. I don't fucking know. As long as it's legal, I don't care, or whatever, And they're like, Jaffe, you made games I love. I want to finance your next thing. And I'm like, all right, well, if we can get Shannon Studstill on board, or Nick Kononellos to produce it, then I'm in. Then all I have to do is focus on the creative. I'd love to do it. But only under those circumstances. Nothing else. Okay, let's get to some news, my delightful delinquent debutante, whatever. Shut up. I played First Ascendant a bunch. I'm done. I'm over it. I played it for about collectively 5 hours. Beautiful looking game. Plays great in the feeling and stuff. The characters move great, shoot great, but I can't with this shit. I can't with any more of these, collect shit and chase after a fucking weapon that is the same as this weapon. It just looks different and has 3 adjusted stats. I played this game over the weekend. This just came out too. This is from, I believe it's from the same company that does the huge hit Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero. I played it on PC and it's also on PS5, I believe. I loved this game as well, in the sense that, I mean, I love the art style for this game. I love the narrative. The combat feels delightful. It's just really fucking good. But fundamentally, all it is a, it's a sort of go through these rooms of combat in order to level up and collect shit. And so it's like, if this game could have been just give me a narrative single player game with this and I'm in, because the brand is great. The IP is great, but I couldn't stick with it. So I kind of backed out of that pretty quick as well. You're asking me if the game I'm talking about would be AAA or indie. It would probably be it would definitely be indie. It would be like a walking sim with a little bit of action. Yeah, Eddie T says, I can't stand free to play that makes you pay for anything but cosmetics. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Yeah, because I won't even do it. Even if it's Edward, even if it's PvE, and we've talked about this a couple weeks ago, even if it's PvE, people are like, oh, well, you can't have pay to win with PvE. It's like, you sure as fuck can. It may not be the same definition that you use for multiplayer, but you can fuck up that game's balance badly. And it makes it impossible for me anyway to know why I'm failing. Am I like, I mean, imagine if Elden Ring was free to play. And then, I mean, seriously, imagine it. And you're like, okay, well, am I stuck on this boss because I haven't explored properly? I don't understand the patterns of the boss. I haven't spec'd my character properly. Or is it just the fact that, oh, no, you're supposed to be stuck. We've tuned it so 95% of players will get stuck here and it's time to pay up. I couldn't do it. I would just walk away. I would absolutely walk away. Okay, so Once Human is a service game. I played the demo. I didn't know. Master Luke, you don't need to pay for that. I was going to call. I just saw it. It looks great. It's done. I'll reach out to you tonight. It looks fantastic. If you don't know, Master Luke's been doing all these wonderfully funny cartoon versions of me that make me look a lot cooler, believe it or not, than I really am. I know it's hard to believe. But they're great, man. And I love this new one as well. So thank you for that. Core gamers recognize the Ubisoft scam of unbalancing the game then selling XP boosters. Problem is they made a shit ton of money. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We can complain all day long, but end of the day, whether you're talking about the NBA games with 2K or talking about Ubisoft or, people still show up for it. So, okay. Let's talk about sales. Speaking of games, and this kind of in a lot of ways moves back a little bit to what we were talking about what kids are playing. What are they playing these days? So the NPD or Circana, whatever, idiots. They came out today and they says, hey, look, Xbox Switch sales are down for the year, but that makes sense. They said, because this time last year you were getting Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. But they said, but look, man, PS5 and Xbox is also down. This is reporting. I really dig this. It's called GameFile.news. This is little Stephen Totillo's newsletter that he does, and I subscribe to it, and I enjoy it very, very much. I have issues with Stephen. I've buried the hatchet for the most part. He used to be the EIC of one of the EICs of Kotaku after, I think, Brian Crescente. But that said, though, I vibe with his stuff. I think he's a good guy. He says the firm says PS5 units are 8% ahead of PS4 sales, but they're still down double digits. This is the one that always surprises me. So the Xbox Series still trails the Xbox One by 13 goddamn %. How is that possible? I understand the Series X is an abysmal failure from a hardware standpoint, but the Xbox One is a joke, man. The Xbox One was like the thing that everybody like. The Ouya sold better is what I was led to believe, but yeah, no, 13% less than the Xbox One. Listen to this. Speaking of free to play, now I don't know if this is the way I would try to get my game back in gamers' good graces. But listen to this. Yeah, by the way, Totillo Ravnos is the guy I yelled at on tape. Absolutely. Listen to this, man. EA, I mean, this is nuts. So your game is starting to lose some money, aka Apex Legends, right? So Apex Legends is, and I don't play it. I played it once when it came out. It wasn't for me. Never spent much more time with it. In May, they said the game has generated $3.4 billion in what players spent since it launched. But it noted that revenue from the game in the first 3 months of 2024 has declined compared to a year ago. So instead of going, you know what we should do, fellas? Let's make the game better. Let's add content. Let's figure out why we're losing players, blah, blah, blah. They say, nope, let's just fuck over the players who've decided to stick around. So here's what they've done. They're altering the monetization of it. So they're getting rid of the $10 battle pass of unlockable rewards for 90 days. It's like one season's 90 days. And instead, they're splitting it in half. They're taking the baby and they're cutting it in half. And they're saying, now we want you to pay $10 for 45-day half seasons. So you basically are spending $20 for what used to cost you $10. Also, they're removing the ability to purchase battle passes with in-game currency they earned through the previous season. So if you don't play a lot of these games, and you should play at least one, because there's some great ones. Fortnite's great. Call of Duty is great. You can apply your in-game currency to unlock a battle pass. So if you've got 20% of it in-game currency, you only have to spend 80% of real money on it. And Apex Legends is saying we're getting rid of that shit as well. What? What are you talking about, you fucking morons? That's dumb. You're going to kill your game. None of the games are great, says Feast. Yeah, but Feast, you're just wrong. Unless you're talking about Assassin's Creed and Star Wars, right? I think you're talking about these sorts of games. And again, man, I mean, you know, all I can tell you is I don't have a dog in the fight. You, of course, have a right to your opinion. But a game like Fortnite doesn't become a phenomenon, or a game like Call of Duty doesn't become a phenomenon because it's crap. And especially Fortnite has gotten really good. I've talked about this before, and I get it. I get the narrative that Fortnite is ruining gaming and kids love it and all that. You know, it's not. Jaffe, Fortnite is dead now. It's not. What does that even mean? I play it, 10 times a month. It's not PK. Fortnite is terrible. It flooded the industry with free to play crap. Guys, I'm sorry, but again, I'll enter into that conversation with you, but only if you can actually support it with facts. Like, when is the last time you've played it? If you're talking about the gameplay, now, if you're saying it ushered in a bunch of really bad games as a service, I would agree. But I would also agree that God of War 1 ushered in a bunch of shitty fucking QuickTime event games. Right? I mean, just because something does something and it works and someone rips it off worse doesn't mean that the original is bad, is what I would say. But anyway, there you go. That's on Totillo's page. I recommend his site. I really do. Gamefile.news. He gives away free copies from time to time, but it's mostly like a $5 membership. But you should not be fucking subscribing to that if you ain't subscribing to me, you goddamn son of a bitch. Okay, Ravnos, I'll bring calls on later. I'm going to backload those because people seem to like it more if I kind of say now's the time for calls. So I'll get to you if you stay in the chat, but I don't want you to be waiting there and going, what the fuck, does Jaffe not see me? You know what I'm excited about? I'm excited about this evening. Because Amazon, let me check where my package is. I ordered, and I didn't know this was happening today. I knew it was, but I'd kind of forgotten about it. Let's see, is it out for delivery? It's out for delivery. But it's not yet in one of those things where it's like you're X stops away. So I've probably got about a couple hours to go. But today's the day where Xbox has put out their Game Pass for Amazon Fire TV. So I went to the Amazon. I ordered a Fire Stick 4K, which was like $50, I think. And then I ordered an Ethernet adapter, which was like $15. And I'm, you guys know, I have I have good enough internet, and I live close enough to a server farm that I am very much looking forward to giving this a try tonight. And I will let you guys know how it plays. But this is coming out. This came out today, so I don't know if any of you guys play this stuff, but I love streaming for a million reasons. I have an Amazon Fire Stick. It's in the garage. That thing don't last long, says Babool. Okay, well, fair. Is it one? Is it one that you can? Is it a 4K one that you can use this for? Because if so, and if you have, I mean, think. I just want you to think about how cool that is. That, again, I'm blown away because I'm a kid that you gotta have the goddamn console in your house. Otherwise, sorry, you can't play it. And now, when you look at it, I'm just like, my God, imagine just being, just like, oh, I'm curious about some games. Sure, Microsoft, here's $20, boom. And you're off to the races and playing. It's cool. Star Force Belmont says, I honestly don't know if I should get a Series X. I'm more Nintendo, Sega, Sony. I'm content with my 1X. I mean, if you can stream like I can, then no. Just stream. Can't you stream to your 1X, or you can stream to this? Right. Luke says the Fire Stick stuff is what Xbox's in-game is. They want people streaming Game Pass. Right. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Great. Everything's going to be streaming eventually. Come on now. I know, whatever. We're not getting into that today. You know what I think about this stuff. Okay. Fangoria, the wonderful horror magazine that our very own Rob the Mod subscribes to. It's a great magazine. They've been covering horror since before Starlog, so maybe like late 70s, early 80s they started. Then they kind of died, then they brought it back. But anyway, they've added to their Chainsaw Awards Best Video Game nominations. This is kind of shitty. This is pretty shitty. I love what they're doing. I love what they're talking about. And I support it. Of course I support it, man. But look at the games. Now, Alan Wake 2, that's viable. That makes sense to be on that list. Dead Space Remake, there's a debate to be had whether or not remakes should fit up there, but assuming they do. Great. Killer Clowns is an already forgotten wannabe game. Resident Evil 4 is one of the best games ever made. The remake is brilliant, but of course it's a remake. And then Texas Chainsaw was The industry is absolutely filled, and we're going to talk about this in a second, with such innovative, interesting, cool video games. In the horror genre, the fact that Fangoria would only know about these big budget mainstream, it's very, very disappointing. That two of these are just basically reskins of Friday the 13th in terms of asynchronous horror. I have a real problem with that, but it's still cool. And there is, by the way, I'll let you know a little news in Papa Jaffe's life. Crow Country should be there, says Eddie T. I didn't love it as much as a lot of other people, but I do agree. Most people did, and that should be up there. If you don't count remakes, Alan Wake 2 is the only real choice. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree in terms of this list. Sorry, I was just reading the chat. Okay. What I was going to say, though, is somebody reached out to me the other day and said, hey, I'm not going to tell you who it is because I'm not allowed to talk about it yet, but they said, hey, we do a horror award show every year. Would you like to be on the board? Would you like to help nominate some titles and all this stuff? And that I'm excited for, because they seem to actually understand that horror is just incredibly rich right now in video games. And to ignore the indie stuff and the AA stuff and give it to stuff like Fangoria is, I love that they understand that, because it's a renaissance. So writing a slasher right now, says Master Luke. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, is there a kill you want to see? Oh, man. Let me think for a brief moment. Is there a kill that I want to see. I mean, I'm on the spot, man. I would say, I like things that are that are disturbing and freaky and unsettling, right? So I like it when one character is, and this may not be this, maybe I don't know what your slasher's powers are, but I like it when one character. This was an idea I had for a horror co-op game back in the day. I never made it, obviously, but it was like my character and your character could communicate on walkie-talkies, but the connection got severed, and so I'm going through this, I don't know, this house or whatever it was, and all this shit starts getting supernatural and weird and creepy and fucked up, and to my partner who's also there and can see me on cameras and stuff, none of that's happening. I'm just murdering innocent people that are living in this like orphanage or something. But my character and me as a player, I think that I'm saving the world, right? I like stuff like that. So it's less about the kill and more about like what a disturbing idea that your whole perception of reality could just be absolutely wrong. But I could certainly think about it. I love slashers. Still Wakes the Deep is pretty spooky. I went back because I've learned enough about myself since I've been streaming for so long now that there are games that I just can't stream. So when I played it on stream and I didn't like it, I was like, this is probably me playing it on stream. It's not a good stream game for me. And I did go back and play it for about 2 hours this weekend. I enjoyed it a lot more. So you may be right, Luke. It may actually become a game that deserves that for sure. Okay. Okay, let's move on. So, what is this? Speaking of, I did want to tell you about this. So, going back to that letter that Totillo wrote, the newsletter he puts out that I do recommend, he also put out a thing about horror and interviewed Zack Wood, who I've worked with before on Twisted Metal, actually, who is the head of Blumhouse Games. And if you know, they just kind of put in a bunch of video games out at Keeley's last show. There were some interesting quotes in here. I want to tell you about them. While you're looking right now, you should be looking at the trailer. It's like a montage of all their games. This is a murder farming simulator, believe it or not. It's basically a game where you are either a killer or you're hunting a killer, but you also have to run a farm. Okay. Here's what they said in this article that was on Game Industry Biz from Christopher Drigg. He says, this is Zack Wood talking. He says, we're at capacity at the moment. We're further than a year ahead of schedule. Our plan was to start releasing in 2026, but Fear the Spotlight is out this year. That's this game you're looking at right here. I didn't know this game already came out, and then Blumhouse got involved and they pulled it from Steam, and they're basically adding all kinds of new shit, and they're going to put it out again. That's coming out this year. They said they have 3 horror games 2025, 3 2026, and a couple already ready for 2027. And they're going to maintain that pace. They work with the creative talent on the movies and TV as well. So like they got James Wan has helped out, who obviously is Insidious, The Conjuring, Saw. David Cronenberg's son, who makes movies, is one of the designers with Sam Barlow of their new horror game coming up, which is I forget what the name of that game is they're doing with Blumhouse. They let their partners own the IP. They said, we get the rights to make movies and TV, but the rest of it, the people who make it, they retain their IP. They're doing the same thing they do with movies. It's low risk, small budget, high upside projects that are creative and new. So again, that's why when you look at that Fangoria list and you're like, why is this so just generic? Especially when there is really interesting stuff happening all up and down the budgetary spectrum with horror. So I'm very excited to see how this works, because this is kind of the first group that has really committed to this genre in this way. I am very hopeful it won't be too long before we get a subscription service that's a video game horror service, just like Shudder, but for games, or maybe Shudder adds a game component or whatever, because there's so many interesting things. And what I love about horror, Like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, and I'll look to the chat. Maybe you guys have some analysis on this or some theories on this, but I look at horror, and horror fans don't seem to have a problem with the lack of amazing visual fidelity, right? So if you look at RPGs or you look at things like that, and it's like, oh, those graphics aren't good enough, or that looks like crap. You know, the core gamers really shit on them. But for something about horror fans, I don't know why it is. They seem to be totally, for the most part, comfortable playing at all different types. They just want to be scared. They want to be freaked out. And I love that. And I think that's probably one of the reasons you're seeing so many horror games. You're seeing the big stuff, like a remake of Silent Hill and the new thing from Supermassive Games, but you're also seeing this tiny, micro budget horror, which is fucking amazing. So I don't know. I mean, what is your theory for that? Do you have any thoughts on why? Is it just because they love, like, I put myself in that category, that I love horror, and I don't care, regardless of the genre, what the game looks like, if it's cool and interesting. But Bukaki in the chat says that he thinks it's because lo-fi thing makes it scarier because your mind fills in the blanks. Yeah, I mean, that certainly can't hurt. That's true. Horror stays with you, says Kyle, and the fans have gotten used to always being outsiders of big budget studios who do not want to take those kinds of risks. Yeah, maybe they're just used to it. That's true. Well, you could say the genre is not so big, and I guess there's truth there. That's coming from Luke, but one of the things that was written about here, I'll just read it to you. It says, this is in his article. He says, it's a good time. Actually, this is coming from Game Industry Biz. He says, it's a good time for horror fans. There are upcoming new games and remakes from established franchises, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Little Nightmares, and Until Dawn. They're promising new projects from big-name game developers such as Slitterhead from the Silent Hill guys, Casting of Frank Stone from Supermassive, and OD, the Kojima thing. And now you've got these much smaller games all up and down the spectrum, baby. So I don't know. I think horror, compared to other genres, I see more horror stuff than Metroidvania stuff, for example. But that may also be because I look for it. Sad thing is Fatal Frame games are getting very pricey. Yeah, I got one. I'm trying to remember who recommended it. It might have been Morgan from our members. The last Fatal Frame, something Dark Water or something. I need to play that. I haven't spent much time with it. Okay. I will say a lot of streamers, says Eternal, make retro indie horror style games blow up. They like seeing their favorite streamers like Markiplier getting freaked out. Sure, I think that's true too. Absolutely. Okay. All right, cool. All right, well, let's move on down the road. That would be fantastical. But I'm looking forward to these. I'm looking forward to the very first one. And then there's real horror. There's real horror, my dear delightful friends. You hear about this guy? This is in New York. Well, no, it's in Florida, of course. Listen, this coming from the New York Post, so you know it's true. But New Jersey video game nut flies to Florida overnight to attack online rival with a hammer. This guy, 20-year-old guy, kid, whatever, flew to Florida from New Jersey in the middle of the night to bash his rival's head in with a hammer. Eddie Kang, 20 years old, allegedly hopped on an overnight flight at Newark Liberty International, landed at Jacksonville, Bortles, before he showed up at the victim's home at 2 a.m. swinging a hammer. This is what he looks like if you want to see the kind of killer we're looking at. Some things make you say, said the cop. Some things you can't make up. There are some things that make you say, what in the world was he thinking? And then there are some things that make you say, you're not going to believe it. Well, this case makes you say all of those things. The sheriff says Kang got angry at the victim while playing the multiplayer game ArcAge. I don't know what that is. And was ticked off enough that he told his mom he was going to visit a friend in Florida, and he took off. Gets into Florida at 2 a.m., goes to Ace Hardware the next day, buys himself a hammer and a flashlight. Sunday morning early, the victims, I don't know what he's doing, playing games, sleeping in, eating brunch. Who the fuck knows with these people? But this fella, he breaks into the house dressed in black and wearing a mask and attacks the guy with a hammer. They subdued him. The guy was pretty banged up, but he survived. And this guy's in jail. And when they asked him why he did it, he said that the guy he attacked is a bad person online. That's it. A bad person online. Well, Jesus, at that point, people are knocking at half y'all's door every goddamn day. Okay. But anyway, that's going on. It's not good. This guy, by the way, where did it go? Here he is. This guy. Apparently, he had a little manifesto or whatnot. It was like, oh, these are the games I play. Did you see this picture? Oh, you already saw it. These are the people that piss me off in these games. It is commitment. You goddamn right. This guy apparently also played Call of Duty, and what is the one from the Ubisoft? X-Defiant. He's also playing that. People were in a list that he wanted to kill after this guy in Florida.
Are you streaming?
There's a list on the website. You can see who they are. Rotten Tanuki, Duke, Zack, Procrastinates, and Eddie Torres were all listed as the next potential victims. They are also the gods of war of this goddamn channel right here. Ha! Ha! Goddamn right. These motherfuckers are the lifeblood of the channel. They've been supporting it for a very, very long time. Thank you, fellas. Rotten Duke, Zack, Eddie T. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Eddie T in the chat says, I wonder if I teabagged that guy in X-Defiant. You did something. You did something to make the list, but I hope you're safe. He's in jail now. You should be fine. But anyway, there you go. And it's much appreciated, fellas. Now, look. Let me see. I want to get to this. We can talk about that tomorrow. I would like to jump now to talk about, because I put a chat up, this Fertanga thing about Sweet Baby, okay? But we're going to take, I just want to talk to the chat, see what my kid wanted. So we'll take 5 minutes and we'll get to that. Hang on. Okay. So yeah, let's chat for about 5 minutes and then we'll get to this thing, because I'm going to try to come into this story with, because Fertanga, this guy, I've been on his show once. I didn't like him very much. I'm sure he didn't like me, but that doesn't matter. He made a video about me and I'm like, you know what? I could, it's not that I want to take the high road or the low road. I just want to make sure that my position on Sweet Baby Inc. is born out of logic and not emotion. And so I need a little bit of help. But before, let's just kind of chat with the chat. Addie Pie says, Jaffe, as you age, don't you get more tired of YouTube? I don't know what that means. Do you mean as someone who makes content for YouTube or someone who watches YouTube? Regarding making content for YouTube, no, because ultimately it's kind of like I say about comic books. When people say, oh, comics, it's for kids. It's like comics is a delivery method. What you make the comics about, it's ageless. It doesn't matter. It's same thing with YouTube. YouTube is just a way to present video to people. So there's nothing to get tired of. Do I get tired of, I struggle with the drama on YouTube, because even like this topic. Now, the only way I could talk about this topic, and I put this up on Twitter today after somebody, I think it was, I think his name's Wooden's Throne. He's been with us for a while as a watcher of the show, and I appreciate it. He's like, oh, this Fertanga guy made a video about you. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch it during lunch. And I put up a poll on YouTube saying, should I address this or let it go? And it, most people said, talk about it. But I was like, I only want to talk about it because I could find an angle that I'm actually genuinely curious about. But if you're asking me about, do you age out of the drama part of it, I don't know if it's going to stick, but in the last couple of weeks, people may have noticed, like at the beginning, somebody's like, Jaffe's lower energy lately. I don't have lower energy, but I definitely have less interest in making this work if I have to only be a connoisseur of rage bait. And I don't mean what you guys call clickbait. You guys don't know what clickbait is. People who call my shit clickbait are ridiculous. Clickbait is not what you guys think it is. What you guys are talking about is sensationalistic marketing. Clickbait is when you basically say, click on this and you'll learn how to make $1 million by the end of the video, and the video doesn't address it. That's very, very different. I would never lie, but certainly I will market. Why not? Okay. Jaffe, don't you still love me? Said Twisted Sith. I miss our old banter. I sleep with my Jaffe merch mug every night. Hello, Twisted Sith. Thank you for being a member for 28 months. It's not that I don't love you. It's just that I don't have much to say to you when you are consistently, just taking the piss. There are moments where I think it's funny, but I've been doing it long enough now, Twisted Sith, that here's what I would say. I would say, I've been doing it long enough that the only thing that's going to get a rise out of me is something that's really clever, right? And I've also found that the quality of the show for people who aren't here live, which is the majority of the people, goes up when I only address the real high quality troll comments. And so you just got to step up your game, and I'll be there for you, baby. Okay. Let's move forward. Addy Pie, thank you, buddy. 14 months. He says, how many baddies? I think that he says that means women have you fumbled. I don't know what meaning how many women have I tried to date or pick up and it's gone south? Is that what you mean by fumbled? Bukaki says I made fun of those gamers, the Fertenga defenders going after Jaffe, and that guy blocked you on Twitter, but he got no recognition. I played your fucking song at the beginning. What are you talking about? Tim Duncan says it's kind of like what you did with Alana Pierce. I don't know what you're talking about. Out of all the videos people made when Alana was talking about the situational disability, not that she or anybody that is a purveyor of that term needs me to defend them, but my video was agreeing with her. People were terrible to her, but it's so easy to see why. She's a very attractive woman. How different is it than being a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old boy who's uncomfortable with girls, but you like them? So what do you get told to do? Oh, pick on them, neg them, make fun of them. I think so much, if you drained that aspect of them coming after for that particular video of Alana, and you were just left with their points, nobody would have been making videos about it. It's so transparent as to be embarrassing, but then it's so embarrassing as you start to feel sorry for them. But I guess you can feel sorry for people you're embarrassed for as well. Okay, how about videos, says Starforce, like this is making blah, blah, blah. Gamers are upset with blah, blah, blah. Does that count? Not if the video is about that. If the video is about, hey, here's what I would say. If I were to make a video about the petition for Assassin's Creed Shadows that Japanese folks, we don't really know how many are Japanese, but that on behalf of Japan, Japanese citizens, people have signed to say, Ubisoft, we want to cancel your game. Like, that's going to matter. So, great. Good luck with that. But anyway, I would make a video about that, and I would be like, okay, well, let's, I might sensationalize the headline, like gamers are pissed. But then if you actually click on it, I would say there are some gamers that are pissed. It's hard to tell who they really are. It's hard to tell, what percentage of them are pissed because they don't like black people and the character's a black guy, and what percentage of them are pissed because they are genuinely into historical accuracy in the Assassin's Creed series, which is its own kind of weird that you would expect that. And how many are pissed because they have a good point? But I get the grift, and grift is the wrong word. And somebody pointed this out to me. Even this guy earlier, this Fertenga guy, called him a grifter. And I think you have to include fraud in the grift to be a grifter. So I don't think he's a grifter by definition, but I do think him and his ilk, people like the quartering, most people, and I get it, man. I mean, I put out videos, that are like, here are the 3 coolest new game mechanics that I saw this week. And maybe I'll get a couple thousand views on something like that. And this guy put out a video bashing Alana, just saying exactly what he knows his audience wants to hear: farming rage, farming anger, farming discontentment. And I think it's sitting at like 45,000 views after like a couple of days. Now, I don't begrudge the guy for making a living, but I really don't. I mean, maybe he can't do anything else. Maybe he's like, if I can't make this work, I'm fucked. So I got to pay the rent, man. I gotta feed my family. I don't know. I understand. We're not a very nice society for people that are struggling, so I get it. But at the same time, though, just go to his site. I was there today getting my thumbnail for this thumbnail, and I was just like, man, every fucking thing is that. And I don't know about that. But it is what it is. You put a picture on your video which made people think she was coming on the show. No, I didn't, Tim. I mean, I'm sorry that you thought that, but if you've watched my channel often, you'll know when I have like interviews like I just did with John Garvin twice in the last week, the creator of Days Gone and Siphon Filter. Both of those are like interview or chat with or whatever. That was not meant to... I basically took her video that everybody was talking about that day. It was kind of the main story. It was even trending on Twitter. And I took a screen grab from it and I put it in the background and I was like, basically whatever it said, but we're talking about this. Never did it wasn't even on my mind to say that it was a conversation with Alana. No. Okay. Ravnos, that's fine. Ravnos says, I find what Alana says on a regular basis to be a turnoff. Cool. How does stating whether someone is attractive or not equal obsessed? Are you asking me that? Or are you asking somebody else that? I think it's kind of gross, but I mean, again, you have to understand a lot of these people are probably children. Like literally like teenagers, right? They have to be, because even, and again, I'm not one of these guys that's opposed. What do you mean? So why do I listen to her? I don't know if you're talking to me. I listen to her because I like her. I like, I know her a little bit. She's a nice lady and she works in games and I'm curious. I don't listen to all of her videos, but I listen to the ones people are, shaking the tree about. But yeah, I forgot what I was saying. Okay. Oh, right. Yeah. So anytime Alana makes any kind of thing, and again, I go to NeoGAF. I probably should not only go there, but it's just kind of, I've gotten used to it. So that's kind of my standard place I go. It's all so overtly sexualizing her. And again, I get it. She's attractive. She knows she's attractive. Nothing wrong with that. And nothing wrong with being a guy or a straight guy or a lesbian and going, whoa, she's fucking hot. But there is kind of a point where you go, yeah, we know she's hot. Is that all? I mean, it just makes them come off as real stupid, I guess. And weird, I guess. And it's not like I'm trying to be like, I'm above that. No, I like raunchy shit. I like, oh my God, she's so fucking hot and all that shit. But it just seems to be, there's something under the floorboards with that relationship that I find weird. Okay. Let us move forward though. Let me take literally like a minute meditation break. I'll be right here. I'm not going anywhere. And then we're going to look at this Fertenga nonsense. Well, I'm going to call it nonsense, but I'm going to enter into this with a very open mind. I'm going to enter into this with kind of a mentality of maybe I'm wrong, but hang on. Okay. Okay. So this fella, like I said, I was on a show that he is on along with, I think he has a show with, Alex is the guy's name. Oh no, it's Alex or something like that. And I was on their show, and I you know, whatever. I mean, I got along, I guess, a little bit more with Alex than I did with this Fertanga guy. I found him obnoxious, and that's his character. I mean, the way he talks is whatever. I don't, whatever. It is what it is. But he puts his video out saying God of War creator blames gamers for Sweet Baby Inc. destroying another game studio. Wait, what? I don't even think it's... Oh, it's not very well written. What he's saying is, I am blaming gamers, whereas I should be blaming Sweet Baby Inc. for destroying a studio. And he's talking about, this, what's it called? He's talking about this Tales of something Zoa or whatever. Darth Nugget says, I don't even know why you pay these dumbass console warriors any mind or acknowledgement. Why? Because, well, again, you notice it's at the end of the show. You notice I did a poll to make sure you guys, at least enough of the people, wanted to talk about it. And I genuinely am curious because I get so many people coming to my channel telling me I'm wrong about my take on Sweet Baby. So I am curious. But it's also because, you know, I do want my channel to do well and grow. And this stuff gets the clicks more often than you know, some of the most interesting things to me at a game design level, if I put those in the thumbnail, no one shows up. And by the way, I'm not talking about this Mighty Keef guy. I don't know that guy either. But yeah, I mean, here, look, check this shit out. It's like, he did an Alana video, 35K 6 days ago. Big fat player here from, what's that game called that Sony's doing? Concord, 30K views. It's just the same, you know, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, the point is I'm not going to watch this whole thing with you guys. I've already watched some of it, most of it, but I'll just play the relevant points. This guy's page is red pilled. Yeah. I mean, it is, it is. Ravno says it gets clicks for fucktards who misrepresent your takes. I know. But like Goodrich says, monetize the competition. Yeah. I mean, if they want to make money off me, I'm going to make money off them. And look, I'm letting you know, these are the waters we're about to sail into. So if you're ready to go, this isn't for me, we're going to be talking about this for another 20 minutes, 15 minutes or so. So maybe time to move on and do something else. And hopefully you'll join us either on the tail end of the show or when this topic is over. But anyway, okay, so I don't even know. I'm not even going to play the video. You can go see the video if you want, or maybe I will, but let me give you the gist. I watched the video, and there was a guy on this very channel who said to me, he sent a super chat, I think, and he said, Jaffe, what do you think about the fact that Sweet Baby Inc. has ruined another company in whatever this company is called? The company hasn't shut down, but it's the company that made this game, Tales of Zanzara or something, Zao. You know, there's a much bigger argument to be made that the fact that the title is so fucking confusing is probably a really good reason the game failed, but, you know, or a much bigger reason. But anyway, regardless. So he makes this video and says, here Jaffe is again defending Sweet Baby Inc. That's all he does. People are like, Jaffe must be on the payroll. I don't think there's even a payroll to be on. And then he goes into all this stuff about why he feels Sweet Baby Inc. is responsible for the downfall of this game. Ravnos has showed the clip. There's no clip, but I'll just allow me to skim through it to find the relevant points then that I've already seen. Because I haven't layoffs. Okay, here we go.
Thousands of others ran reaction times. I really joining all the people affected. Abubakar Salim, the actor, is utter trash.
Okay.
Virtue signal.
But again, this guy is playing a character. Because listen to how he talks. I mean, we have. I'm not going to tell you the guy's name. We have a guy like this who is in our Discord, and I know what his channel is, and I'm not going to tell you what his channel is, but he doesn't put his face on the channel, and he affects his voice, and he makes real. Shut up, talk to Zack Wave. I'm not even reading that. So people do this shit, but I think, so I don't know how serious this guy is, or if he's just like the quartering, just going, hey man, I'm just raking in the bucks buying a farm off you fucking rage baiters. But anyway, here we go.
Part is the woke crowd with jackasses like Mighty Keith, who are complete fucking normies on the internet. I mean, my god, watching this guy's commentary on Twitter over the Biden and Trump political debate was painfully NPC as fuck. So it's come with no surprise that Mighty Keith legitimately believed this developer was from Kenya. No, the lead director was born in England. So he's about as Kenyan as Polly Walnuts was Italian when they went to go visit Italy in that episode of Sopranos. But the best part comes from how Keith and thousands of others ran their mouths on Twitter saying, oh, we're all going to buy this game to spite the anti-DEI crowd because all the woke social media mainstream accounts I follow told me that these people are crazy, so therefore I must toe the line and not think for myself like a fuck.
Okay, so I'll just sort of, Luke says, if obesity has a voice, this is it. I'm officially obese too, so fuck you, but I hear you. But okay, so I'll just stop it and comment. This is what the kids do, right? The react videos. So now maybe he's right in that, there was a vocal group of progressive left folks like myself saying, let's buy this game, in order to make a point. Now I did know that the Stellar Blade, more go woke, go broke style crowd was saying this is going to be a watershed moment. We're finally going to prove to everybody that these games are going to be massive, that are tits and ass and giving us just what we want. And, the game did well. It didn't do great. It didn't do, for a first party, second party Sony exclusive, it didn't do all that great. But for a brand new IP from a small team that cost $50 million, they made their money back and then some. But it wasn't some kind of watershed moment. Similarly with this, I don't remember anybody talking about this game, let alone talking about it in the context of let's make a stand and buy this thing to show all the mouth breathing Gamergate 2.0ers what the real story is. Maybe they did. I'm not saying they didn't. That's why I'm asking you guys. But I don't have that evidence. JSD, as always, buddy, thank you for that super chat. Look, man, I know you guys want the Turtle back. Turtle, he can call in if he wants, but I told you I was going to let him call in if he wants to. But he doesn't work for me, so he calls in when he wants to call in. And I told him I didn't think I was going to ban him. I needed to think about it. I've thought about him. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? As long as he just doesn't, I don't know. I think he's fine as long as he's explained to me what those things were. I'm going to give him a moment of a pass. But if it continues, then no, I'll that'll help me make up my mind. Okay. Jaffe as a Keith fan, I think that's the guy he's upset with. This Fertinga bitching about him. Keith makes fun of every side, so he can't tell anything Yeah, I don't know anything about any of that. All I'm telling you, as it relates to what this Vertanga guy is saying, I have any of you guys out there seen what this Vertanga guy is talking about? Not that that should matter, but if in the grand argument, but his point of they didn't show up and buy the game, and they said they were going to do this. I don't know anything about that, but let me know. We'll keep going.
Moron and just tell people I'm gonna support it. Well, it turns out the woke crowd is once again writing checks that their asses can't cash. Nobody was there to support this game day one. It flopped hard.
Okay, so let's talk about this briefly. Now, I have played this game. I've played it for about 6 hours. I think it's really good. I don't think that it was ever going to be a massive hit. I think, now the budget probably wasn't that high, but my guess would be this would be about 15 million when you throw in EA's involvement. But I don't think it was a bad game at all. It was a very solid, really fun in parts game from a brand new developer that had never made a game before. And they ended up, because I guess it didn't meet whatever their expectations were, laying off people, or because they couldn't get a sequel signed from EA, or whatever the reason is, they cut 12 people of their very small studio. But the idea that it was a bad game is not true. The level design was really good, but it got very repetitive, and that harmed it. The fact that any of these games, Metroidvanias historically these days, 2D games historically these days, it was 3D, but locked to a path, don't do that well. The last Prince of Persia did really great in reviews, but it didn't sell well either. And nobody was complaining about that for the most part when it comes to this stuff. So then the title was terrible. Like I said, I played 6 hours of it. Tales of some Zenzaru Zao. It's so fucking stupid. It's so ego-driven, titles like that. It's like, dude, you don't need a subtitle on your first game because nobody knows what anything is. So just pick a lane and say it's called The Power of Zao. I don't fucking know, but it just, no. Anyway, that hurt it. And also what maybe this Vertanga guy isn't aware of is the fact that this was a day one PS Plus game. So, I didn't buy it either, but I played it. I played it day one, and I played it for, like I said, 6 hours, and I enjoyed it. But I didn't buy it because why would I? It was, quote, free. So I'm sure that played a part. And then given that it was by all intents and purposes, a B title, it didn't sell. And my issue with this argument, it did have something to do with his family. The whole game was about his father in real life dying, and he made a game that was meant to sort of be about his struggle and his journey dealing with that grief. And I think the cutscenes did a good job with that. I think the gameplay didn't really reflect any of that, but that's sort of my take. But anyway, so there's a whole, there's a litany of things that make a lot more sense why a game like this did not deliver. But why I think this guy is either not very bright or he's very bright and he's just manipulating his audience for clicks, which again, like I said, he has a right to do that, is that in order to believe the foundation that this particular video is built on, you don't have to believe that Sweet Baby Inc.'s design was all over it, which it wasn't. You don't have, but you could. You could totally buy into that. Like, there's no real evidence that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on this. The guy who directed this apparently had some kind of consultant firm or something with some of the key Sweet Baby Inc. people in France. But as far as anybody knows, right? Nobody really knows. And if they do, I can't find the evidence. Please share it. But again, I'm not saying I'm not aware of, by the way, just so we're clear. I am aware of this, which is Zao creator. I don't know what co-directed a company means, but co-directed a company called Sugar Baby with Sweet Baby co-founders Kim Belair and David Bedard. Okay. Again, that doesn't make the point or kill the point. Maybe he was heavily involved with these guys and just said, yes, I'm going to hire you but I don't want it on the box, or I don't, that's just speculation. Okay, nobody really fucking knows. As far as I know, but if they do, let me know. But assuming for the moment that all we know is this, which is, yeah, I mean, let's assume, which isn't that difficult to assume, that a black guy making video games whose primary job is in the movie and television business is probably going to be progressive and left. Okay, so no surprise there, right? Most people who are creative, who work in the creative arts are. Sorry, like I've said before. You guys get Kirk Cameron, and you guys get Chachi and Scott Baio and John Schneider and Kevin Sorbo. I don't know what else you want. I mean, come on. That's the next big, I don't know what they are. But anyway, so let's assume they have Sweet Baby written all over this game. Okay. I mean, I certainly didn't notice that, but I'm progressive. Maybe I would miss it. But the point is, though, the foundation of this guy's argument is that, well, in order to be a success, the reason this game wasn't a success is because Sweet Baby worked on it and gamers have had enough. I forgot Ricky Schroeder and Greco. That's right. Gamers have had enough and they're pushing back and they're tired of it and go woke, go broke. Okay, that's the argument. Even though in this very video he cites and shows clips from Spider-Man 2 that was a huge hit, and he cites Suicide Squad, which the fact is, Suicide Squad and this game, there is a litany of reasons that track with historical failures in video games that are much more impactful to the success or failure of a game. But this guy is asking us to believe that enough gamers, people didn't even know about this game, but somehow enough gamers knew about Sweet Baby that if Sweet Baby hadn't touched it, this game would have flown off the fucking shelves. Right? It just doesn't make any sense. Based on what evidence? I mean, I'm not saying boycotts don't sometimes work. And I'm not saying that it's an impossible thing that maybe my analysis of the number of folks out in the world that know about Sweet Baby, and then not only knew about Sweet Baby, but happened to read Grums to know that the director of, I mean, think about the hoops you got to jump through for this to work. The number of people who know about Sweet Baby and hate Sweet Baby, and then the number of people that know that know about Zao, and then somehow know that the director of Zao may have some relationship that's not entirely concrete with Sweet Baby. And then because of all that data, so many people said, fuck it, you're not going to pull the wool over our eyes, you fucking progressive lefty fucks. That's what he's asking you to believe. And is it possible? Sure. But wouldn't you say that when I come to you and I offer up information of why it probably didn't sell, that's more grounded in historical reasons, the title, the genre, just the overall quality of the game in the current marketplace, similar titles that came out recently that also didn't sell, that didn't have any of this stigma that these guys put on this game, don't you think that if he's going to offer this up to his audience and suggest that the reason it didn't sell was the Sweet Baby connection, I don't know, don't you think his audience probably should be going, okay, that's a pretty interesting theory for Tenga, but where's your evidence to suggest that this mob of pitchforks, digital pitchforks and torches is big enough to be the driving or a driving cause behind the failure of this game? And then what you get is, and again, let's assume for this argument, because I don't want to get into, I don't know how to know this. Into the Deep State, I think, is a troll, but let's just take him at his word. He says people are refusing woke garbage. Well, again, that may be true, but it's like okay, so I'm coming at this with an open mind. I'm not trying to argue, okay? I'm going to put up what Deep State just wrote, okay? The one thing I will agree with for Tenga is I beat around the bush and it takes me a while to get to my point. And I hate that about the way I communicate. But anyway, I just spent the last 5, 8, 10 minutes explaining, or at least suggesting, that in order to make the connection that this game was a failure because of its associations with Sweet Baby, you've got to jump through a lot of fucking hoops to make that logic work. Okay? And instead of, and I said, if you have that evidence, please provide it. And he writes back, anything related to Sweet Baby, people will avoid. I mean, can you communicate with these people at this point, or do you just have to let them go? He says, people look up the wiki article of what Sweet Baby works on and they will purposely not buy it. Fact. No, it's not fact because you wrote the word fact, though. What is fact is you need to show me, if I can show you evidence of games that were named confusingly that sound like sequels that didn't sell, and I can show you, which I can, and I can show you evidence of Prince of Persia, which is a much better reviewed game that's almost exactly like this, that didn't sell. And I can show you evidence of Metroidvanias not really selling all that well. And I can also show you evidence of brand new IP characters that don't have any kind of real sexy hook, like a weird mechanic or some kind of association with some kind of viral moment. I can show you evidence into the deep state of all of those things. Why can't you provide me evidence other than writing the word fact? That, yes, are there some people that won't buy something that is related to Sweet Baby? Sure. But enough to make a difference for a game that, I mean, you're probably talking at most about 5,000 people. You're talking about a game that was free on PS Plus that has way more than 5,000 people that played it but didn't buy it. So if you really want to be taken seriously, or this Fertenga guy, and look, my mind is open. If you were to show me that, then here's what I would say. As much as I do not defend all of Sweet Baby's tactics. I think that woman who represents them, as much as I have no doubt she was, as I've said before, posturing about, oh, take your marketing out for coffee. It's like nobody's going to coffee with you. Marketing barely went out to coffee with me, and I was the goddamn head of creative at Sony Santa Monica. Yeah, if you got a marketing, you're going to go out to coffee. Shut up. But I think she's doing a speech. She was posturing. She was fronting. She was flexing, whatever it is you want to call it. But regardless, though, I don't like her tactics, and there are some things that they've said I don't like. But do I think, hey, man, there's nothing wrong with any, even if you want to fucking promote far-right, awful hate ideology from the KKK, you have a right to set up hang out a shingle and say, I'm going to try to sell that vision to video game companies. I happen to agree with a lot of Sweet Baby's diversity intention, but I don't have to like everything they do. But I don't know, man. If you're basically saying that the number of people that have to be read in on all this Sweet Baby shit is so meaningful that, I mean, you don't have any evidence. But if you were to show me evidence of that, oh, look, these were people that somehow we knew were going to buy this game. And when EA asked them, or a poll asked them, why didn't you? And the vast majority, and it was like 20,000 samples, said, we wanted it, but when I heard Sweet Baby was making it, no thank you. Then I would say, fuck, I don't like that data you've provided me. But, you know, then I do think if you want to go woke, as you say, then you do it at the risk, and maybe you need to budget accordingly. But my guess is you don't have that data. My guess is you're just angry. Like, look at the beginning of this video, right? This guy's not a serious guy when it comes to this stuff. And I don't care. He has a right to do his job, whatever it is. But, you know, I mean, why, you know, you'd like to think at least some people could see through this. This is the beginning of his video.
You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke.
I mean, everything woke. It means, is this man 8? Carrying his little fucking lunchbox to school? It's like, you know, anyway. All right, let's keep going with this video here. Let me see what the chat has to say real quick, though. There was a comment I wanted to get to real quick, though. Hang on. Doug says this isn't it, but I'll read it. If a white-wing, Christian-based Sweet Baby stink were actively going after games with diversity, you wouldn't be so supportive. I can't imagine a right-wing, Christian-based Sweet Baby Inc. would be going after anything with diversity. But let's adjust it for reality. Let's say there is a right-wing, Christian-based consultancy firm that wants to push the agenda of Project 2025 and see that applied to the arts. I would say the same thing. I would say that unlike Sweet Baby Inc., the only difference is I abhor and despise everything in that intention. But I would also say, but I'm an American and they have a right to use resources as long as they're legal to express their views that I find terrific. And the free market will take care of it one way or another. Now, yes, I would beat up on them, but I wouldn't lie about it. I would say I hate them. Like, I can't stand Trump, but I understand why people vote him for him. And I'm not going to make up lies. Hell, I was on Colin's show a couple weeks ago, and I made some comment about Trump, and a bunch of Trumpers came at me and said, that's not true. It's been debunked. And I looked it up and I said, you know what? You're right. That was debunked. I thought that was true. It's not. I apologize. I posted that on all of the Last Stand Media forums for that episode. And I said, look, I still hate the guy, but I'm going to hate him based on facts. I'm not going to hate him based on lies that just sound good and feel good to support. Is what I would say. But where did this comment go? I wanted to read it really quickly because it was good, I think. The good comment. Oh, here we go. Curry says the director from Zao was on Iron Lord's podcast and explained the Sweet Baby connection. They consulted for the game to help make sure it was a cohesive and fun narrative. Cool. But again, I don't care if they literally showed up every day and the director wanted to make every character in that game white and they said, no, you stupid son of a bitch, you make them all black. It doesn't matter if they just got the stink of Sweet Babies all over this game. That would matter maybe if it harmed the game, but that's not this guy's argument. This guy's argument is people avoided it because it was Sweet Baby, and that's what caused the layoffs. And I'm just saying, I have way more evidence that it failed for reasons that have nothing to do with that, and you have no evidence other than you're just playing to your base, basically, and you're not really thinking about it. Ravnos, I'll get you in a second. Let me, in my opinion, it's just not a fruitful discussion. People who tend to actively engage heavily in these discussions come with extremist views and a lot of hate. It's a waste of time, says Mash. You know, I don't know about that, though. I know exactly what you're saying. And I vacillate, right? I go between just going, this is stupid, give up on it, don't worry about it. It all it does is bring about division. And then I go, again, I'm not saying I'm right and I'm wrong and they're wrong. I'm saying I need evidence to change my mind. And there are days where I have enough of an arrogance and ego to think that maybe talking about this stuff in this way might cause people to go, maybe the world is shades of gray. And sure, there's some of this stuff you may not like, and you don't like the way certain things have been handled, but that doesn't mean that this is a black hat, white hat situation. So I don't know, but I understand what you're saying regarding the value of having these discussions. Okay, let me see if there's anything else in here before I bring on Ravnos that's worth talking about. Hang on. Because, I mean, that was the gist of it, right?
You just have to take a look at what happened to Rocksteady, what happened to Luminous Productions, and now what's happening to Surgeons.
Again, Rocksteady that game did not fail because it was woke. I'm sorry. The only thing people bring up is that Harley Quinn wasn't as hot to them as she was in the Arkham games. Okay, sure, there's truth there, but you're telling me a game fucking failed for what? That game wasn't messed up because it was woke. The game was messed up because it was a $70 game that even though I did enjoy it as a single player game, was designed to be something that that team was never skilled at to make. And there's 1,000 other reasons. There's no evidence that it was it's just dumb. It's just dumb that they would even suggest this. They probably didn't even play it. I agree, Kyle. Suicide Squad failed because it seemed like a generic game as a service, right? Abiz says attractive characters are important. Did you see Capcom's massive gamer survey? I'm not saying attractive characters are not important in certain games, but it's not like they made Harley Quinn a super unattractive lady in that game. Look, I'll show you what she looks like. I mean, did you even play the game? I don't have to play it to see. No, you did. Just play the fucking thing. Here, this is Harley Quinn and her outfits in the game. Okay. Let me bring it over here for you fine humans. Now, where'd it go? Okay, here it is. So here we go. I mean, this is Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. She's fine. She's midriff. She's got nice boobs, pretty face. What do you want from her? I don't really know what. I enjoyed it as well. That was a good game. I don't think she has camel toe. She might. Let's see. Wonder Woman, her Arkham outfit. Let's see what else they got in here. I mean, what do you want her to wear? A fucking, a maid outfit? Like a sexy turn down your sheets? I mean, what do you need from her to get your rocks off? I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, but do I think she's overly sexualized like Stellar Blade? No. But I think that's fine if I like that Stellar Blade's overly sexualized. But you cannot tell me, I'm sorry, that this game failed because you don't have more cleavage. It's just stupid. I didn't dismiss attractiveness in a AAA game. She's attractive, man. What's the matter with her? Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe you're so used to sort of fake women in anime and fake women on Pornhub that you literally don't know what like a real attractive woman looks like. I'm not saying, yeah, I'll look at her in Arkham. Let's see, Arkham Asylum game Harley. I'm sure she was much more less dressed, which is great too, right? Cool. She's sexy there too. That's not who she was in this game, but you're saying that she didn't have this. So okay, let's just get this straight. If this outfit would have been in Suicide Squad, it would have been a massive fucking hit. I mean, come on, man. It's not how Harley should have looked. It's how she looked in this game. I'm sorry. She looks like Margot Robbie in the new Suicide Squad. I'm sorry. If Margot Robbie is not your cup of tea, and that's fine. But you don't deserve to have an opinion if you don't think Margot Robbie is an attractive woman. I get that she was more overtly sexed up, guys. It's not that it's lost on me. It's not that it's lost on me. But what's lost on me is the fact that it means what it means to you guys, right? I get it, but it's like, really, what's... I don't know. Maybe I just can't relate. That's fine. I'm not saying you're just wrong and I'm just right. If it's a good game and I'm having fun, that's what I care about. If you play, what is it? Lost Legacy Uncharted, both of those games, or both those women are attractive women, but they're not overtly sexualized either, but they're still attractive. Does everything have to look like it popped out of fucking Penthouse magazine for you guys? I mean, what's the problem? I don't get it. Okay, but Abiz, that's the smartest thing you've said all day. He says the game failed because it looked bad. Why is the gameplay gun-based? Right. That's why it fucking failed. It was not a bad game, by the way. It was a really fun game, but it wasn't a $70 game, and it certainly wasn't a games as a service game. But, you know, that's how they marketed it, and they kind of, you know. Cyber says you never hear these people complain about GTA characters. They're all ugly as fuck, but you know what? Game is fucking fun. Right. That's right.
Studios, and well, you don't really have to take a guess. Hell, why do you think Sweet Baby Inc. themselves don't want there to be a list that informs people what projects they're working on, or if any director to a video game is somebody who worked for Sweet Baby Inc.?
Yeah, Jesus, why did he hire him? That's the odd part. Who knows? Who cares? Here's something. If you played the game, you would know that the reason or that they're laying people off has absolutely nothing to do with Sweet Baby Inc., no matter what the fuck they did. If you play this game and you have a problem with all the black people in it, guess what? You picked the wrong game. It's like watching the old TV series Roots or the movie The Color Purple and going, why are so many black people in this?
Nah, Jaffe, I think you picked the wrong argument, because that's not what anybody is hung up about. That's not what anyone is arguing over. As a matter of fact, I think we can all agree it's not entirely Sweet Baby Inc.'s fault. They didn't force anybody to hire them on. In this case, it completely falls on the publisher and the developer. It was simply a poor decision to make. A company like Sweet Baby does not have a good standing with gamers. Nobody likes them. They are completely rejected. And for good.
And what I would say is, it's not that nobody likes them and gamers hate them. There is a vocal, very small group that don't like them and hate them. But guess what? And by the way, if more people knew, more people might. But nobody knows. Nobody knows who the fuck. I mean, it is so minor of an awareness ping in people's brains that I'm sorry. This is what you're doing. This guy is doing. He is basically going, I know my base wants to hear this. I don't know if it's true or not, but if I say this, they'll love it. And that's cool, man. I get it. I wish I had, his views on his videos, but I mean, he gets crazy views for doing this shit. I could do this. But I wouldn't, and again, I'm not trying to say, I'm really not. I'm not trying to say it like I could do it, but I'd be a fucking loser. I don't believe in what he believes in, and even if I did, if I did, I'd have no problem expressing it. All right, let's keep going.
Good reason. If you've seen what the former employees of this company have gone on to produce, you would quickly question, how do they have a job? Hell, how are they allowed in any social circles while regurgitating some of the most disgusting anti-white propaganda? It's clear as day that the people who work at Sweet Baby have political agendas, and they have absolutely no problem inserting them.
And they have every right to have those political agendas, as I've said, just like anyone who doesn't work
into these projects.
At Sweet Baby Inc. If you want to have a far right agenda, go do that. By the way, somebody's mentioning Spider-Man, Star Force. This is what I also don't get about Spider-Man. Whatever you think of Mary Jane and Spider-Man 2, and I agree they didn't push her sexuality. That wasn't the character. But, look at Black Cat, though. Black Cat, Spider-Man 2. I'm sorry. I don't know what you guys need in your lives these days if this isn't doing it for you. I mean, what, again, you have every right to be into what you're into, but that's not working for you either. I mean, what is it that you need, man? It's fucking skin tight leather and she's fucking hot as fuck. Where's the problem here? It would be equally problematic if they were pushing a right-wing agenda. That is the point. No, they have every right to push what agenda they want. It's not the government doing it. It's Sweet Baby doing it. It's an independent, privately run company. you know, and I had somebody write me on my YouTube channel and say, Jaffe, you don't know your research. Sweep this. In fact, I'll just fucking show you what he. I mean, this is what I'm dealing with, fellas, and this is why I did want to talk about it today, because I'm like, maybe I'm missing something, because I did a video about, I don't know what it was, but I'll go to my comments. Let me read you this guy's comment here, and I'm not reading it to like make fun of the guy or anything. I'm trying to understand, you know, what am I missing here? So he says. Let me find it real quick. Okay, this is a guy called Welcome to Wherever You Are, which I think is a Aaron Sorkin ends a series. Anyway, he says, Jaffe, Sweet Baby doesn't have direct power. You're correct. They have influence, blah, blah, blah. I said, here, I'll show it to you. I said, once one of y'all pushing this narrative offers evidence, I'll engage more seriously about the topic. But there's so much detail and evidence missing from what you guys are saying that it comes off as goofy conspiracy stuff. He says, Sweet Baby is funded largely by Take This, who is a I think Not Do, is not-for-profit, funded by the Department of Homeland Security. They are also backed by BlackRock and Vanguard. These aren't conspiracies. They are public knowledge. Look it up. And so I did, and I couldn't find any of it. I said, please provide a link to show Sweet Baby is funded by Take This and is backed, I assume you mean backed financially, by BlackRock and Vanguard. It doesn't exist. What exists is, yes, there is a link where Take This is working with the entertainment companies to say, look, and they're working with the government to say, like they always have, hey, we're worried about all this right-wing, what's the word? Advocacy. Like, I don't mean right-wing like politically, like you vote conservative or Republican. I mean like KKK and anti-Semitic and anti-black and all that, that there's a lot of people that are being sort of sucked into this through video games online. And so the government is connected, whether it's financially or not, to Take This. I don't even know if they are, but they are basically involved with them. And in that, they're like, hey, help us get the message out there that, you know, be aware this is happening. But there's no evidence that Sweet Baby is funded by Take This, and there's no evidence that they're funded by BlackRock and Vanguard. And so I asked him, and at first we were having now maybe he's a busy guy. Maybe he's an ER doctor. 11 hours ago, I wrote back. 11 hours ago, he responded right away. 11 hours ago, I said, please provide a link to show this. I haven't heard from him yet. So I don't understand why this is so hard for people when I say I just need some evidence and they don't really give me anything. You know.
Projects they're working on, as we've seen how the process works firsthand. What with people who have worked there openly admitting they don't hire white people intentionally. When people are
again on this, I couldn't find this again. I know what he's talking about. And the woman, one of the women who runs Sweet Baby, had another company where she basically said, I didn't want to hire any white people because I wanted everybody here to not have to deal with feeling unsafe around white people. And okay. But I don't think that's Sweet Baby. I think that was her previous company. But regardless, whatever. I mean, it's a different issue, but
are made aware such a firm exists, they're not going to want to support it. Everything happening to Zhao has nothing to do with the characters being black, has nothing to do with the game being Kenyan inspired. It has to do with the ties to Sweet Baby. It's no different than somebody not wanting to purchase a game because Ubisoft is the one behind it.
Risk It, thank you for the super. So think about that for a minute. This guy's assuming that Ubisoft, yes, I know Darth Nugget. I'm not saying it's not racial or bigoted. That's a deeper discussion. But regardless, though, I only bring it up here because I don't think his facts are right. I don't think that's Sweet Baby. I think that is the company she was at before Sweet Baby. But regardless, I mean, it's almost irrelevant other than just to show another example of I don't think he's really done his research. But regardless, but sure, it's still a unfortunate thing. But it's also an unfortunate thing that people would feel that way about other people, and they've had experiences in life that has brought them to that conclusion, but that's a different thing. But on this Ubisoft thing, so what he's basically saying is, I mean, Ubisoft has been around for decades, and they have made tons of games, and they have made a bed amongst gamers that have sold hundreds of millions of products, right? The awareness of buyer beware because I know what the Ubisoft logo means cannot be applied to Sweet Baby at this point. Because, look, you get 95% of people that consider themselves even semi-gamers, don't know what Game Pass is. You think they know what Sweet Baby is? That's all I'm saying. Where's that evidence? Where's the evidence? Super Chatty says, I know Abu Bakr. I think he's the guy who wrote it. If anything hurt the game, it was the false BS the incels create around it. He simply asked an SBI member for advice once. It doesn't matter. Darth Nugget, nobody says gamers can't complain about corporate wokeness. Complain all you want. I'm responding to a video where I'm just asking for information. Because let's be clear, there's a lot of you guys out there on the internet that believe what this guy is selling. And certainly not enough to turn the fortunes of a game like this in any meaningful way. But enough that I see it enough to go, maybe I'm missing something. So all I'm doing is offering up the questions of, I don't understand why you guys just think this is an accurate take on the situation. It doesn't matter, though. I hear you, and I appreciate the super chat, and I appreciate your point. I'm not saying you're wrong on that, but the idea that a bunch of the fucking incels that would be upset that Sweet Baby Inc. works on any game have decided to target this game.
Of course they're gonna go ahead and blame the gamers. That's what they always do. Alright, you know, technically you're not wrong. It is. That's what they...
Well, I have to hear that again. But the idea that a bunch of the fucking incels that... And by the way, calling them incels was because that was the comment had called them incels. I didn't pull that. That was me responding to the person who used incels. That was just me using his word. Be upset that Sweet Baby Inc. works on any game, have decided to target this game. So his fake laugh here, I don't think he understands my point. I'm not blaming the gamers. I'm saying that this is such a small game and you guys are such small numbered that this game is, I mean, why are you blaming this game? This isn't even on your radar for most people. So I'm not saying the gamers are right or wrong. I'm saying what he's accusing me of right here, that I'm blaming I'm saying that they're not, this game did not sell because of Sweet Baby is my point. And I don't know what he's talking about here. I'm not going to stop, Ravnos. It's the end of the show. I'm going to talk about this. What do you want to talk about? Give me a minute. Let me finish the video. It's almost over.
Of course they're gonna go ahead and blame the gamers. That's what they always do. Alright, you know, technically you're not wrong. It is the fault of us not purchasing the game. But the reasons for not purchasing this game, that all falls on the publisher and the developers. I mean, to begin with, the game really didn't look that interesting. I didn't mean it was going to be bad.
Can you show me the data that supports Sweet Baby making games more profitable? No, but I'm not making that claim. I don't know the value Sweet Baby brings. Maybe it's huge. Maybe it's huge at a PR level only and it's purely performative. I don't know. But I'm not the guy out there banging the drum saying hire these people because it makes games more profitable, am I? That's a terrible way to debate. Of course there's no data because I'm not claiming that. I'm also not claiming there's a monster behind me right now and you're like, prove it. I'm like, I didn't say there was a monster behind me.
But once your ties to Sweet Baby Inc. were revealed, well, that wasn't exactly going to help you get more support, which is hilarious because there was a group that formed to rally against the people who said they weren't going to buy this because of Sweet Baby Inc. An entire group was formed to counter that group, and none of them purchased the game. It would reflect.
If he's talking about the group that the government, the Take This or Take That or whatever it's called, that's not why they were formed. They were formed because there's a lot of recruiting happening on the internet at the violent right wing and maybe left, but we're talking specifically about like anti-Semitic, racist, all that stuff. Maybe, the far left people that are violent, are targeting people online as well. But that's who was formed. And yes, that group did say, hey, look, this is what's happening. There's a group out there that is targeting Sweet Baby. And kind of, really sort of feeding into this Gamergate narrative. And so, hey, video game companies, here's a letter we're writing, as is our goal. Be aware.
Reflecting the sales. Mighty Keith and his army didn't do shit. So whose fault is it really? The boycotters or the people claiming they would buy the game?
None of their faults. No, none of you guys are important in the narrative of why this game didn't. That's the thing that drives me the most batshit, is the self-importance this guy is placing and these people place on themselves. You don't rate. The only reason we're talking about you right now is you get clicks because it's rage baiting, and if it wasn't so clearly a reflection of the wedge being driven down the middle of this country, it would be laughable. But you're not to blame, man, for this game not selling. It's like Stoner Joe, who's always saying shit like, I'm responsible for this shooting. And I'm like, well, were you there, Stoner Joe? No, but I looked at these things in my notebook and there were these numbers, and whenever those numbers come up, that means I killed somebody. And he at least has the excuse that he has schizophrenia. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. This guy's got, they're not big enough to move the needle. Right, Adam? Nobody knows who Sweet Baby is.
To spite the boycotters. They didn't show up. For all that moral grandstanding they do on social media, you would expect to see the results of that. But instead, we always see the opposite. Want to know why? Because that same woke crowd also doesn't like woke products. They just...
Right, like, look, you mean a group that has a curator group designed to avoid DEI detected. My understanding is that's, there's two things you're talking about, right? There's the guy, you're not talking about the guy who made the Steam account, which I totally support. I totally support if you want to create and I love that Valve kept it up. It's like, look, there's nothing wrong with that. People who don't like Sweet Baby, cool, keep it up. They have a right to have that up. But then there's the, where'd it go? This comment. People are saying, oh, certain things are taking, like if it's like, DEI detected, there are certain servers or whatever, there are certain IPs that won't let that come through. It's not about that. If you actually look into that, there's like some military installations or whatever. Apparently that's more of a doxing thing that they've explained. And they do it all the time for all kinds of sites where they're trying to list things that might lead to doxing. So I don't know which one of those that you're talking about, but I mean, that might be worth digging into, but
just won't admit it. They won't admit it's trash.
But by the way, if the government's doing that, then I would support whoever wants to sue the fuck out of the government because their First Amendment rights are being violated. But if it's just some private company that says, I don't like anti-DEI people, and they run that, then that's their right to do it.
Just like they won't admit it's destroying the boys as we speak right now. Everything it touches goes to shit. And they defend it even though they won't financially support it. I don't understand them. Either way, as cruel as it sounds, because, people's jobs are at stake here, I very much do like this trend of sweet baby projects flopping and failing hard, because it proves what we're saying is true. Nobody likes this crap. It's time the rest of the industry caught on. Do you want to?
No, and I'm going to bring on Ravnos in 1 second, but let's just be clear about Sweet Baby. I don't know what they've worked on recently, because I think they've kind of gone dark. But there is if we go to their website. So Alan Wake 2, not profitable, has nothing to do with Sweet Baby. It's a good game. A lot of people love this fucking game, but it was slow and it was opaque and it was, it's not the kind of game that it wasn't the Resident Evil remake kind of game that the trailers made it look like. Don't say game more, talk less. Fuck you. This show is 2 hours long at this point, and the first 90 minutes was all about video games and video game news. I did a poll to ask people, did they want to have this topic, and it won overwhelmingly. And so I said, okay, I'll put it at the end because I know not everybody is into this part of the news. God of War Ragnarok, as much as I didn't like it, was clearly a big hit. Never heard of this. Volcano High was never going to be anything other than a game for far progressive lefty people. I only played the demo. It was fine. This isn't out yet. Does anybody expect Breeze in the Clouds to do well? This was boring as fuck. Spider-Man 2 was a massive hit. We've already discussed this. This was a great fucking game. The Crew Motorfest is better than Forza Horizon, and Forza Horizon's amazing. South of Midnight looks really good. I don't know what it is other than what we saw at the showcase, but that team still has a lot to prove, but conceptually it looks strong. I don't know what Lost Your Marbles is. So the idea that these guys have led a charge of failed game after failed game, it's a narrative that doesn't really track. Some of their stuff works, some of their stuff doesn't. Welcome to sort of the industry. All right, let me get these super chats, and then I'm going to bring in Ravno, see what he's got to say. He clearly wants to say something. I want to say this, though. JSD, thank you for the P Turtle and the 3D vigor. I appreciate it. Are you laughing at his vigor? Are you laughing at the vigor of the character of this guy in I guess he's playing the DLC, right? Or is that the original? Is that what you're laughing at? But yeah, I hear you. But thank you, buddy. I appreciate that support. Also, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong though. Somebody was talking about the Sweet Baby Inc. Where did it go? The Sweet Baby Inc. logo. It is a little weird, right? Because there is a kind of I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it doesn't take too long to have it pointed out to you. Hang on, let me make sure. I want to look this up, that it's a pedo kind of thing. So whatever you think of Sweet Baby Inc., I can't imagine they're not following the discourse. Logo, lollipop, swirl, pedophile. Like, I think there's swirl face sex offender. Right. Pedophile, take lollipop. Right. There's something about that image that is related to that. And it is a little strange that, look up pedo spiral. I agree. I mean, that was weird. It's weird that they, here you go. FBI pedophile symbols. Do I think Sweet Baby Inc. is a bunch of pedophiles? No, I don't. But do I think that after this is pointed out, there's probably a good argument to be made that it's not a bad idea to go, you know what? We probably want to just, not much, let's just take I get it's a sucker. It's a little baby. It's sweet baby, like candy. Babies like candy. Okay, all that's great. But given, that, I don't think you're going to lose too much with the left if you go, our bad, right? I'm not. They are alike. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm not saying it's when you say it's a reach. I know. I'm not saying that these guys went out of their way and they're pedophiles. I'm saying that given the state we're in, this is an actual sign that the FBI apparently uses for this logo. And you'd think, okay, maybe we dial that back a little bit. That's all I'm fucking saying. Okay. Let us bring in Ravnos now. He's waited a long time, which means he's got something to say, and that's good when somebody's got something to say.
I have tons to say.
Okay, what's going on?
Well, when I said show a little clip, I didn't mean dissect his entire.
I don't give a fuck. Are you producing the show? Do I work for you?
No, but dude, do you want some honest advice?
Yeah.
Don't platform these fucking hate mongers.
I'm not platforming him.
You just showed his video on your stream, which he is going to then dissect your stream to make another video calling you a woke tard.
He can call me that. What I said about doing this is I debated it, right? And then I said, let me finish. And then I said, to me, the value is I'm not going to turn like this guy in the chat into the deep space, right? You know, no one. If he's not a troll, he's beyond.
He drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. But are there people here and there? Maybe it's small. Maybe it's like out of every 50 people, maybe every now and then I'll get half a person to say, huh, it's, you know, Jaffe's coming at this with good intentions. He wants just to see some evidence. He's given us examples when he's walked back and said he's wrong, when people showed me things that I believe that the media got wrong, and I apologize for it. Maybe it's not so black and white. Let's spend a little bit more time getting the data. And so I'm willing to do that, even if it means, look, if you're coming to this show or his show and you're so susceptible to an idea that has no facts, whether I'm giving it to you or he is, you're lost anyway.
Yes.
So I'm more worried about or concerned about, can we reach something using logic and discourse that's not so heated?
Well, here's the thing. The person whose video...
Also, Darth Nugget wants you to put his shirt on.
Oh, I'm wearing a shirt. I'm not naked this time. I
In
didn't
his
just come out of the
fantasy.
shower.
In his
Oh,
fantasy.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I am in his head a lot, aren't I?
What? You are
Anyways,
what? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm in his
Go ahead.
head a lot, aren't I?
You really are. Okay, go ahead.
Here's the deal. He is not an open-minded person. He is... I don't know for a fact. He sounds like a really gross person who is very sad and angry and lonely, and he has found the one thing that he can do to be popular, and that is to take a shit on other people who are creative, hardworking, have talent and skill, and make video games. Because there are these people that they think you are not just tolerant of Sweet Baby Inc.'s existence, they think that you're a champion for them and that you hate all these people that don't like them and you think that they should be involved in all games, and you've never said anything like it.
No.
But the way they take your content, they make it sound like you are this champion for, I think that all games should have this consultation firm wokeify them, when all you've said was, I don't really know what they stand for. I don't really give a shit, because this is America and they have a right to exist.
They do. They do.
And unfortunately, most people that watch your show, even ones in your chat, don't have the brain capacity that you and me do to understand that, oh yeah, that's an open-minded comment. That's not Jaffe endorsing Sweet Baby Inc. But the way the internet, like Twitter and YouTube, the way they make it sound is that you are this hyper woke champion of Sweet Baby Inc. When the reality is you just think that these people obsessed over a consulting firm because they don't know what a consulting firm does is kind of funny.
Well, I think it gets even funnier when they actually believe stuff like, you know, $7 million was, you know, all these crazy stories. Now, again, as I've said, I do tend to be a guy who is, you know, much more liberal and much more progressive. And so I agree with a number of things that they want to do. As a, you know, I'd like to see more diversity, but I don't think that needs to be forced and it doesn't, if a creative director doesn't want it, and the company that pays for the game is willing to go with the creative director, great. But I'm certainly a progressive leftist, absolutely. But
yeah, but that doesn't.
I'm
mean
such
that
a fucking progressive leftist.
Woke.
No, it means that frankly, if you want to fucking make a game, like I said, that's hardcore right wing, go ahead and do it. You have a right. I'd support your right. My game, literally, the last game I made had literally had monkeys pulling shit out of their butthole, and then this. I'm not being silly. It literally had.
I played it.
And you could then take the shit and charge it up and throw it at people. It had.
You've never made a woke game, dude.
It had sex all in it. There was a part where you could look at the wall and one of the characters is like, "Leave me alone, I'm masturbating right now." And I thought it was the funniest fucking thing. The only thing I took out, and it was only because our programmer was so upset that I didn't want to lose him because he's so fucking talented, is there was a billboard of a lady with big boobs in one of our levels. And I came in one weekend, and he came in one weekend, and then I came in Monday, and I saw what he did, the designer, and if you shot the billboard on her boobs, she started squirting milk out of her boobs. And I thought it was the funniest fucking thing. And that was a bridge too far for him. And the other one that was a bridge too far was there was a jump pad. And when you hit the jump pad, you flew into this guy's open mouth like the devil. And the designer had tattooed, come in my mouth as a sort of a hint that you could hit the jump pad to go through that, which would be a warp. And I was like, that's great. That's so funny. But, I had to take that out. Not because I was forced to by Sony. There's only one thing Sony wouldn't let me do, and it wasn't any of that. I just didn't want to lose a programmer. I had a character that was, the meme of Jesus riding a dinosaur, and Sony was worried that it would offend the religious folks. So
why they believe that? Some of them,
but they'd be like, "That's my hero.
That's my hero. 6,000 years old, and it can prove it
we could have had the fundamental audience. We would have been a huge hit.
They'd have loved that in Tennessee.
Yeah, well. So anyway, yeah. So I mean, that's the thing.
I just think when you discuss the people who are discussing you, it's kind of like, remember what happened with Oh No, It's Alex? You said a thing, he said a thing about you, so then you said a response back to him, so then he ripped apart your response back, and then you're like, well, I'm not going to deal with it anymore. So then his editor decided to take it upon himself to just make a giant edited video that just did nothing but made you out to be this little woke cuck. And it was just like...
Yeah, but you know what? That engagement probably gained me about 200 new followers, and I probably just on those engagements alone made about $1,000, $2,000 that month on those engagements.
I mean, if you're making money from it, great. But what I see is
I'm making money. The deal is, you're not going to. If you come here and you decide to give me a moment of your time, and you still find me to be what they claim I am, then that's fine. Because I am totally woke. I am totally pro-trans, pro-LGBT, pro-leftist ideology and all kinds of things. But I also support your right to hate all of that stuff as long as you don't get in the way of anybody else. But if that's not good enough for them, then they don't need to be a fan of mine, or they don't even need to be around. Yeah. But I'm not gonna sit around though and be worried about it. I mean, in fact, literally, if you're looking at your screen right now, folks. This is a way that you were able to move around and navigate in the last video game I made, which go woke and go broke. I was doing exactly what you guys said. Nobody bought this game. Nobody played this game. Look at this. This is a fucking brilliant game. Look at this fucking creative motherfucking thing. You shoot the hands and he pulls the butthole apart and it becomes a portal. Look at this. This was a fucking genius game. Look at that. I mean, seriously, people don't appreciate my genius. Look at this, man. This literally was a weapon that was an old Super Nintendo. When you shot it, it shot out like old video game RPGs. And if you had the expanded gold cartridge instead of the normal one, they looked even cooler. This was brilliant, I say. But anyway, watch this now. We're going into the butt. Those guys just came out the butthole. See, if you shoot it, it pulls open the butthole. But now he's going to go, well, he faded out before he went in. You get the point. Yes. This was a fucking brilliant creative game. Okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
I watched you play it the last day, before the servers went down.
Yeah. Yep.
That
But
sucks.
I hear you. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do for him.
But I think people think that you spend all day worrying about this stuff, and
No.
the reality is you're probably more like me. We're like, you don't really give a shit, but when you see people spouting nonsense, it just pisses you off that they're that dumb, and you just want to like confront their idiocy, right?
Well,
Like when they say, oh, when they say something, it's just blatantly conspiracy theory nonsense. Like video games are purposely making women ugly because they hate men. It's
fuck
like,
you, Goodrich. But you're right. He says this is on brand. You're right.
It's just crazy.
Well, what I will say to that though is, like there's a guy in the chat right now, Bull, whatever, says, Jaffe, you can't worry about this stuff all day. I don't.
Yeah.
Most of my day today was editing a video game show that will go live tonight or tomorrow. That's about the top 10 trailers from members, which I think is a good show. And then it was preparing to talk about all the stuff we talked about today that wasn't this. Which was basically
Yeah, what was the first thing?
well, let me close this real quick so I can see it. We talked about Lifeless Moon, new game, Angerfoot, Zenless Zone Zero. We talked about all the talked about horror games, the Xbox coming out tonight with the Fire Stick, which I ordered the minute I heard about it. We talked about the crazy guy that flew from Jersey to Florida to kill those people, to kill that guy. That's what I spent most of the day doing.
Yeah.
But, this is
I
interesting.
agree with your opinion on First Descendant and Zenless Zone Zeros, by the
boring.
way. Because I both of those games is this. You start off, the art immediately gets you. The feel of the game is good. One of them had a story. The other one, I don't know. It was too boring to ever find out. But then you realize that what it is these tiny little bite-sized chunks of gameplay, which obviously, the only thing I can guess is because people on phones in China were like, Genshin's too big. My phone can't run it anymore. So they made little bite-sized snippets for ZZZ. And that's just not fun. I much prefer
the
a game
combat,
that is cohesive.
though. The combat was can't speak, was awesome in Zoneless.
It was flashy.
Yeah.
But you were pretty much
awesome.
just mashing a button.
I know, but it was still awesome.
Yeah.
It was fun. But if they,
playing.
But then you got to throw that into a game with a structure that has, platforming, adventuring, exploring. Then I would have been all about it.
Yeah.
But it's just like room. Go fuck yourself.
Totally.
No, thank you.
And here's the thing that is hypocritical of me, and now I'm going to just point out how much of a hypocrite I am. I'm playing a game right now that I'm absolutely in love with, and it's a game that I didn't think I was really going to like. That's why I waited till it was 50% off. I'm playing Megaton Musashi W Wired, which is it's like a giant mech game made by
Say it
Level
again.
5.
I'm going to look it up. What's it called?
Megaton Musashi W, and then the word wired.
Oh, I see. Ooh, that looks cool, actually.
It's kind of like a side-scrolling slice of life RPG that has a companion anime, and then it has little bite-sized chunks of combat, kind of like Zenless Zone Zero. But the difference is the customization for your mechs is just fucking insane. And I am so sad that this game flopped so hard because
how much is this? This is 50% off.
It's on sale right now for $25.
Okay.
It's 50% off. I went ahead and bought the deluxe edition, which is only $35. And it's so fun.
It looks good.
But there's a lot of story. The biggest problem is there is a ton of story. So if you're someone that like gets bored at anime story, you probably hate it. But it just makes me think of when I was a little kid in the 70s and 80s watching the quote-unquote cartoons that we didn't know were actually Japanese
Battleship Yamamoto and all that shit.
Yeah. G-Force or Battle of the Planets.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, I'll look into this because it does look, visually, it looks really, really cool.
I'm loving it.
Neon White kind of has the same problem, which is if the action sucks you in right away, it's brilliant. And then you realize, okay, this is a brilliant action game embedded into a Danganronpa visual novel. And so
that's what this is kind of. But
and it's a very people love it, but I don't know if it can make a mark on that. But
you can skip the story and watch the anime.
Ravnos, good to talk to you, buddy. Thank you, man. Thanks for waiting.
Yep.
All right. Goodrich Games says, and he's not wrong. He says, let Jaffe cook. He's making money off a reaction video of his reaction video, and then we'll cut it up and make a reaction video. Right? I mean, you know, I want to make money at this. I want to do this for the long haul. And as long as I can kind of balance it and people understand that, you know, if you're willing to listen, you should hopefully know what my position is. And if you just want to take it from someone else, that's fine. I really have, though. I've given that up, of this idea that I'm going to be able to sort of plug the dam and all the holes in the dam. It's like, no, all I can really hope for is that the people that actually are like, you know what, let me actually see what this guy's talking about. It doesn't mean they'll agree with me, but they'll know that my heart's in the right place, even if I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, like I said, share some facts. I'll change my mind. I've done it before. All right, fellas, there you go. That's been the show for today. Tonight or tomorrow, like I said, don't forget if you're interested. I'm really curious what you guys' response will be, because I want to know if I should keep doing this show, Fanboy Fights. We did this Saturday. Our topic on Saturday was the top 15 video game trailers that for games that have not released yet. And it was a lot of fun. The edited version will go up tonight or tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think, if it's something we should keep doing. Also, the full John Garvin interview, which is like a 3.5 hour conversation that went up. We did it about 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. Not the war stories. That's behind a paywall for members for all time or whatever. But this is that will be going up for everybody tomorrow morning. So if you are interested in things like Days Gone and his thoughts, the controversy with the community manager on Days Gone and all that stuff, along with Siphon Filter and Sony and just life in general, it was a good, long, fun chat. That'll be going up for everybody, members or not, tomorrow on the YouTube. It's already up live now on Patreon for everybody if you're over there. So, all right, in the meantime, Bukaki says, I'm fighting Pete Turtle in the ring for the next one. That's fine. Thank you for the song, Bukaki. It was good stuff, believe it or not. And the video is good, too. I thought you guys were like this crazy band of just heroin addicts, but it had like a pop punk Weezer / Fallout Boy vibe. It was good stuff. All right. Be well, be safe, and I'll see you guys soon. Maybe if I can figure out how to turn off this fucking show. Yeah. Thank you, RPG. I appreciate it, buddy. Where's the goddamn thing to press the button? I don't know. There it is, right there. All right. I'll see you guys later. There's no moment. I'm just getting the show ready to download, you fucking idiot. God damn you people. Okay, but now I am leaving. Be well, you guys. See ya.